Picture visiting a library. And in this library, you've got all these books on all these subjects. And for whatever reason, you won't let yourself leave until you've written a note on every single book that you disagree with. Are you picturing this correctly? We've got a library with all these books in it. You won't go anywhere until you've written a note on every single book about that you disagree with it, why you disagree with it, how you think it ought to be. For a lot of people, as absurd as this seems, this is part of what happens when they get on social media. The way that they're spending their time is to make known, to feel like they have an obligation to express every single argument, position, article, person that they disagree with. It's part of how clickbait gets us, is they just make a headline that they know that when we see it, we can't help but identify with the fact that I don't agree with this, or I do agree with this. Or that if a friend posts it, or someone, maybe random acquaintance we've had from years ago post it, we feel inclined to chime in and make known I do or don't agree with it. Didn't change the book when we wrote the note in the library, and sure enough, it's not going to change the person when we make known to them our opinion about it. And so what I'm going to suggest instead is to let yourself go from those arguments, letting yourself go from trying to make a note on every one of those books, and instead to use all that saved up time to write your own book. To add your position as a coherent thing in a way that's not just a reaction to what else is there, in a way that's not just constantly on your heels playing defensive, but that instead allows you to have the clarity of thought, the continuity and coherence that comes from having dedicated blocks of time that don't get chewed up on all these little things online. We've got to weigh in. We've got to say, here's my take on it. Here's why I disagree. Here's my opinion. We give too much weight and too much credit to those of ourselves in a way that, do you read anybody else's opinions when they're posting those comment threads? Do you change your mind when someone else posts on yours? Most likely not. We're not in the mood for it. We're not receptive to it. That's not why we're there. We feel the need to express, but not the need to receive. And if we wanted to get it from a source, we'd probably want to get it from a real and more credible source. We want to get it from something that some more work went into than someone sort of popping off their thoughts between their morning coffee and taking off for work. But to do that's going to require finding the time that's hidden in those little arguments that, by habit, so many people today are having online. And let me be clear, not saying don't stand up for stuff, not saying don't stand up for people, not saying make your positions hidden or anything like that. It's simply a matter of proportion to our time of picking our battles and figuring out what in the longer term is going to allow us to have the most actual effect